Everyone, give it a few minutes while people are rolling in to the office. So if you're watching, we're just going to do it. Morning. The windshield is down the window to the left on one side. Off the hospital on the left by one of the It's good, those buttermilk ones. This one I like is pink boxes. They have one over on Shop. Nice apple fritters that are really good. Oh, that one. Yeah, that was my favorite one. I went to a couple of state parks and I just really good parks. That's what I thought. Right? I had my full rim hat on and sunscreen, and I'm like, all right, you gotta get video and do it. You gotta get trying to find shades of things. That was at 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Where's your team? First off, let's just do a quick market recap. Your market watch is always on the right. You can adjust and customize it how you want to watch. I watch the entire residential market. You can see what's going on in the entire valley. 900, this is the last 7 days from the last time we got it. 975 new listings. 1,253 went house road. So the market's still hot, right? And sold, so we're selling just as much as we're listing. The price decreases. Okay. Because now sellers are asking, if the neighbor just sold in 5 days for $475 cash, they might be asking a little bit too less if you want on the market for $475. They'll probably go on the market for $500 and you test it and work your way down, whatever the market is doing. Still gaining, still low interest rates, so that's it. For all the old school agents, the area numbers are going away October 5th. You can't use those anymore. I still haven't adjusted to it. I still use those numbers. But I'm working on it. All right, so we'll keep the screen off to the left. We're going to go through. Let's go to the front end. You're supposed to be smart. Okay, now that it. There's an interesting bill in California right now that you voted on new business today, but it's through COVID. It's really like the COVID travel and the thing inside a transportation bill. So we want to try to hide it where you can't go in restaurants without a vaccination card and can't do a lot of things. So, things that our government follows now, you that's just somebody on the phone now. Well, that's the other one. Good. You can make it I can get my phone to cooperate. So what is today? All right. Market update. Yeah. All right. So finally got it up and running. Thanks for being patient. SOI versus farm. Sphere of influence. All right. Who knows the difference? Right off the bat. We'll just start doing it. Influence is you already know. Farm is you know. Right. There's like F for future business. Sphere of influence is right now. So let's start with your sphere of influence. This is the is it still warm in here? Is it? And the coffee is on soda. Sphere of influence you can grasp, right? That's kind of why I use this picture. You can grasp it, you can mold it. It's yours, it's nobody else's sphere of influence. You and I can't have the same sphere of influence because I don't know the same people you know. Same way you don't know the same people that I know, or you don't even know what my schedule is, to be honest. So that's why your sphere of influence is really going to be different from every other agent. So that's the first thing we teach you is creating your sphere of influence. Right? Sphere of influence is just who can you influence. And for me, 20 years, it's going to be 75 to 80% of your business. So depending on your sphere and how large you grow that, that's when it runs. It's going to be most of your business. So if you haven't tapped into your sphere, you need to tap into your sphere right away. Let it know what you do for business. Okay. So, if I got a pen, paper, want to write things down. So, first thing in creating your sphere is going to be your top 20. So, you can think of 20 people that you actively reach out with. Your first list is going to be more likely your family, right? The family can be different. It doesn't have to be a mom or dad. I'm just labeling it a mom, dad, grandparents, sisters, brothers, aunt, uncles, cousins, spouse, family. Who is your family? So write them down. You should be able to come up with at least 10 people, right? Or 5 to 8 people. That's probably at the top of your sphere. Those are the people that are going to be loyal to you. They're going to send you referrals every time you ask for it. So you want those people in your top 20, right? But it doesn't have to be those people being your going. Your family can be your best friend. Your family can be your neighbor, whoever you hang out with on a regular basis, right? Friends, BFFs, right? Lunchmates who you go to lunch with. Gym partners, you work out with people, you go play golf with people, you part of sports clubs, tennis, you play pickleball. If you're doing it once a week, you probably know the people you're meeting with every week, right? Book clubs, churches, if you go to church every Sunday or Saturday or Wednesday or whenever you go to church, you probably run into the same people. They might be in your sphere of influence. Do they know you sell real estate? If not, you might want to write that down. People we go to dinner with, we eat 7 days a week, right? So you better believe my kids know that I sell real estate and that if their friends need to sell, they're referring them to me. Because that's why I eat them every single stinking day, 3 days a week, or 3 times a day. Charities, if you guys are part of charity groups, that's your sphere. If you go do charities once a week, twice a week, that's your sphere. Who do you hang out with? That's basically your top 20, right? So these I kind of categorize, it should be in your top 10 to 15. Then to get to 20, if you still haven't gotten to 20 with those people that you know, here's another list. Your professional partners, your lender, you probably talk to them every time you need a buyer approved, right? Your escrow officer, every time you open an escrow, you're going, hey, I've opened an escrow. Can you do this for me or that for me? Your home inspector, every time you put a property in escrow, right? Who do you meet? The inspector, or your schedule on the inspector, right? Maybe it's the inspector's secretary. That's part of your sphere of influence. The one making the schedule on the inspector up. Lawyers, you got a lawyer that you work with on a consistent basis. Hey, I need help on this, or hey, I need to refer you this person to review contracts. That person should be on your list of sphere, and you should be hanging out with them, asking for referrals the same way you're giving them referrals, right? Doctors, if you go see a doctor, or you have a relationship with doctors, they should be part of your sphere too, right? Dentists, you go see a dentist twice a year. Waiters, if you have a particular restaurant that you frequent and you always ask for that same waiter, that waiter should be in your sphere of influence. Bartenders, you hang out at a bar.
They're all licensed.
Bartenders are. But are they asking you for referrals? So be the first. Ask them.
That's good that they're licensed and you do all the work.
Yeah, I'll give you a referral fee. You want 25% of this, and you don't have to do anything, but you can keep bartending out. Yeah, serve drinks. Make extra money on the side. So, where do you hang out? So that should be in your top 20. If you don't have 20 people written down, that's your sphere. My first thing to do is encourage you to write that down. Write down your top 20, and then nurture it. All right, so that's your sphere, and then what is your influence? What influence do you have over those 20 people you just wrote down on your sheet of paper? 2 things. Are you available? If you are, let them know, right? They need to know that if every phone conversation you have with mom, dad, grandpa, or your cousin is, I'm busy, well, are you available? No. Should be, I'm selling real estate. You got anybody else that needs more help? I got more time than Jimmy and Joe to help them. So send them my way, right? And then do you have the tools? You better, because you pay $1,800 a year for GLVAR, which is the majority of your tools. Your search engines, your listing engines, your showing mechanisms, showing time, and all of your marketing stats, right? So you should have all the stats. and you have this office here if you guys need any additional tools. Okay. But all of your tools are in your computer system. So 2 questions: are you available to those top 20 people you just wrote down, and can you sell them on the tools? I have the tools readily available and my time readily available to service any referrals you send my way. Does that make sense? Any questions? Okay. All right, so your top 10, how does your sphere of influence work? Kind of the same thing. Your top 10 people, these are 10 people that trust you and will give you a referral, right? The first, not even the first 10, just the 10 people that are going to give you referrals. You have with those people a daily interaction with. They're probably the first people to comment on your posts on social media, right? And you're the first to comment on their posts. That's your top 10. And then you guys share mutual information in those daily interactions, whether it's market updates, market posts, a joke that you're commenting on, or you kind of have those same beliefs, right? So you guys are constantly back and forth. That's your top 10. Those are the people that you have to get comfortable with asking for referrals every day, especially if you don't have anything to work. Because if you don't have a listing or a buyer you're running around with, you're unemployed, right? So you're working on these. And no distance in communication, all that means is that you're constantly with that, talking to that person, right? In your top 10. All right. It's somebody that you'd have the ability to FaceTime and they would answer. Does that make sense? You don't just FaceTime people, right? Strangers. So strangers don't. I know. Yeah, but that's
usually a mistake.
Yeah.
Shock.
But that's not a person in your top 10. So a person in your top 10, you'd be able to open up your FaceTime and just hit call, right? So that's that intimate relationship at 10. But you got to get comfortable with asking them to refer you more business. And that's your top 10 people. Okay. Keyword on this is daily. So you have 10 people that you interact with daily. If there's 6 people, add another person to that list and work that relationship. But you should have 10 people that you are a constant, and they know they can call you. You'll pick up the phone, and vice versa. That's your top 10 of your sphere. And then we move on to your top 20. So it's the people that's outside of your top 10 or your top 8, whatever the number is for you. I mean, I don't gauge your popularity scenario, but your top 20 is the next phase of your sphere. And these people you have a weekly interaction with. You see them once a week. You go to lunch. You used to have that social media interaction where you're liking their posts, so they're still staying in your feed, right? And they're liking your post so that they're seeing your feed, or you're commenting on a post once a week type of scenario. That's this top 20 in your sphere. Again, with the mutual information, you guys are sharing back and forth because you're learning something different from that person, and same with that person. So you guys have information to share with each other. This one this is more of that intimacy where you can just pick up the phone and call that person in that top 20, not essentially, hitting that FaceTime or Duo or whatever. Maybe you under my office. I was gonna start dancing. Oh. All right, and then these guys are the type of people you have scheduled interactions with. I've got a Friday dinner date with so-and-so. We're gonna go try this restaurant. Or I'm going to lunch on Wednesday with this person because I haven't seen them in a week or two. That's that type of relation. Any questions on top 10, top 20? It goes further in depth, top 30, top 40, with quarterly interactions, but you have to gauge that because it's your sphere. It's not mine. But this is just a general synopsis of your sphere and how you're supposed to mold that to help you with your business. Okay? Go ahead, Danny.
Just a comment, I watch a lot of people because I have years of experience, and when you're sitting through your whole lunch like this, you're probably not interacting with a whole lot of people that want to buy and sell. You know, they just don't do it. They don't talk to anybody.
Well, I mean,
They stare into their phone.
that's the relationship aspect. Yeah, it's a new generation.
But it's the old generation that responds to face-to-face.
Yes.
So,
And so does the new generation, if you force it on them. Because you're the youngin, the youngin. But no, that's just how that's how the new generation is communicating. So, and it's the same thing, like FaceTime or texting. If you're interacting and they're responding, you are having that digital communication, right?
Like, for example, I have some random people that I didn't know when I do my business card, they FaceTime me because they wanted to communicate through FaceTime. Like, so like a person's connection, but it's different because they're at a different place, different time. I didn't even know these people's names and I answered it. They just wanted to talk visually because it's about a house.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're just busy, different schedules. They're at the barber shop or they're doing this and they just want to be on FaceTime. It's easy to click and switch your so you don't have to link up and like.
Yeah, and you get a lot of your referrals that way too on social media. So if we're just talking about the sphere, so like the top 10, they're going to refer you people and they're going to reach out to you through Messenger or FaceTime or however they got your information. They said, you know, what was the one I got last week was friends that we go out with once a week, and they sent me his cousin to list the property. Well, that cousin, first off, shot me a text right off the bat. Hey, this is so-and-so's cousin. I need to sell this property. And then we started interacting socially. They found me on the Facebook. They clicked my Facebook link. I got a friend request. And then now we can message each other or go from that route. Usually I turn it into, for my business, I'll turn it into cell phone and email applications because now I can track our conversations via email. But right off the bat, they're going to go, how do I communicate with this guy? So it's up to you to discern who you want on FaceTime and who you want in your top friends. It's like, does anyone remember MySpace? That was before Facebook came out. It was early 2000, 2005, probably 2005 through 2010 when Facebook came out, right? When did Facebook come out? 2010? 2008?
It came out like in 2009.
2009? Okay. And then 2011, it probably took off and everybody started getting to Facebook. Because I think that's when I joined, 2011.
And Instagram like 2013.
Yeah. But remember MySpace when you were able to like...
Background.
Yeah. Well, then you had your top friends at the top. That's kind of the same scenario.
Yeah.
And they're the first to see your posts and all of that. I don't know if Facebook does that anymore, what their analytical is. But it's always good to continue posting. All right, so that's your sphere, and that's going to be the majority. And so my encouragement on your sphere is to get started on it. If you don't have a list that you go through daily, get it. And then you should have that secondary list that you go through weekly. And it's a tough one to learn. I'm not an extrovert as far as business, but I had to learn this sphere of influence relatively early in my career, and then once I got it down, it just continued naturally. Okay. So, sphere of influence, and I need to speak up? Yeah. Who's on the TV? Okay, so that's sphere of influence. Let's go into farms. Who's working a farm right now? Anybody? Okay. So if a farm is future business, right, and it only is accounting for 25 to 30% of your business, just to get it going. It's probably not your priority list, but it should be part of it. Okay? You should have some sort of farm going on. What you're doing is nurturing and growing what's to come. Okay? So future business, you're planting seeds. So on the farm list, where do I get farms? How do I start farms? Buyer farm, seller farm, best farm practices, and do farms work? Yes, farms work. But the only way farms work is if you are consistent. Okay? So where do I get a farm? Well, there's a couple ways to do it. So let's do it. Well, so first off, you can create your own farm on your MLS. It's real easy. And still to this day, I preach it every time somebody asks me, how do I get started? And here's the option. There's a subdivision right behind us there. That's a good building. There's my farm. And the reason I preach this one is it's right behind the office. Anybody walk back there, walk down the area? These are homes for selling for $400,000 to $500,000. So you charge 3 points, almost $15,000, right? If you sold one of these houses. So you sold one right behind the office. They just bought it in 2016, so they're probably up on their, I get curious about whether they can move or what, because everybody moves every 5 to 7 years, right? So that's we're looking at 5 to 7 years. When it's built. And we look at real list here, and I got James and Lisa, Ayana with here. About $500,000, right? 494. And they're all the way down to $251,000 on their mortgage. So they got a lot of equity, right? That is one way to look at your farm. You know, now what's the difference? Buyer farm. What can you do with a buyer farm? Well, you can create buyers, right? You guys have this classroom right here. Who doesn't own a home? How do you get that from? Well, there's an apartment complex right down the street there, right? They don't own an apartment unit, so they're paying rent. Go around, find out who's what the going rent is over at these facilities. $1,700 a month. That's a decent outfit, right? But they're paying that in rent. So that would be a buyer farm. Okay. And with that, you probably want to do mailers with links to your information. So I would say create your information. It's readily available. You can create a web page for a buyer seminar. You just go and create a www.iwanttobuy.com, and it's got your information, date of the event, invite your lender, and start farming for buyers. The lender will come in, pre-approve them. It's a work progress. It's not going to be overnight. But you bring them in, buy them coffee and donuts on a Saturday morning. Lender talks to them, explain the difference between your rent payment and your house payment. Buyers, or you get them credit approved in 2 to 3 months, and you got a buyer in 3 months. Depends on how many people you get. You get 10 people in, you get 1 or 2 buyers in 3 months, you get 2 more in 6 months. But you have to work it. You gotta work it. I can work them for you if you want, but I take it for my commission. That's just what I think that. But those are easy ones to get people in there, and without having to go far. Across the street, your mailers are relatively cheap if you do bulk mail. And the post office is right there, right across the street from the floor on the left. You just take them, say, yeah, like bulk mail. And they already know that neighborhood, they know where it's going. And you now are mailing flyers, inviting them for a seminar in September, October. Give them a month, and once a week. CD signs right to our preview. But you can create your links, your Eventbrite, and everything's online. It's not hard to track who's coming, who's RSVPing. You do it there with the cautions of the CD, they click it, they say I'm coming, and now you know how to prepare for this. Okay? That's a buyer farm. Seller farm, we kind of went through that. There's one right behind here, nobody's working it. I knew that for a fact. Take it over. There's one across the street, nobody's working it. Take it over. You don't have to go far. Nobody has to go far. Or say you want to work around your house. You probably have like 2 neighborhoods around your house. Walk it, save money on postage, just go door to door. You can sell. But you got to do that quarterly so that they know you're available and that you have the tools to sell the property. Right? 2 things. Is this guy available? And does he have the tools and the knowledge to sell my company? That's it. Keep it as simple as possible. And then getting out there and working it is kind of this scenario. One of my favorite movies, Good Dreams. If you build it, you will come. If you don't, nothing's going to appear, right? So you have to get started on it. You have to work on it. And it's not a full-time job for an extra to be 25% of your business. And to actually own a farm means that other agents are going to come to you for properties in that area. That makes sense. So once you establish yourself, so take for instance, if I say Ivan Share, you go luxury, right? What if I say Randy Charles? Which building am I talking about? Which building am I talking about if I say Randy Charles luxury? Which there you go. But he was, with his farm. English, right? I think now they're merging with Sotheby's. Same with Shapiro Show, not Shapiro Show anymore, it's just Ivan Show. There's a couple communities you think of that he constantly farms. Red Rock Country Club, right? Rob Jensen, I think he does mostly ridges, right? You know that guy. It's just becoming, so you're a knowledgeable local agent, so you know the area, but now you have an extra experts because now you own that area. And those are quarterly touches, right? Southwest, I just say work on it from where you're at. So again, there's a couple of ideas for seminars that you can market and hold, and just become a specialist at it before you market and hold a seminar, a buyer seminar. You can do first-time home buyers. That's an easy one. FHA, you come in teaching about FHA loans, 3.5% down, blah, blah, blah. Investment homes, I don't know why people are jumping on that. I just, that one house I pulled right behind here is worth $500,000 and they only have $250,000. Maybe they want to buy a rental home. Maybe they don't want to move into a bigger home. Maybe they just won't love that house. But now, can they buy a condo right across the street for $250,000? Yeah, $50,000 down. Yeah. Well, how would you like to have a rental? Over here, right across the street, easy to manage. Cash out refi, talk to the lender, and now they got $50,000 to down on the condo. Right? You've got to talk to them about what they want to do with that, kind of engage with what to do with investment. Oh, that sounds okay. How's your investment portfolio? Do you have any real estate in there, or is it all 401k? You want to diversify? Yeah, those are the type of words to use with people with equity. VA buyers, you can join. There's a couple VA groups. You can get spa rep. Spa rep is one, right? Real estate professionals. They know how to go reach out to veteran buyers. The beauty about veteran buyers is they don't have to put any money down. And their qualifications are relatively easy.
What is that? Non-stop ad 3 days? Is that thing?
Is it a lender?
Yeah. I mean, it's constant. Like, there's one on every 3 minutes. Seems like to get reference to refinance and all that stuff.
Right, when
They do a big contest.
they reach out to that loan officer.
Loan officers do that.
Yeah, loan officers are huge. Then REO buyer seminar. People love, I want to buy REOs, right? They can make a big profit on REOs. That's usually the concept in that a new investor says they don't know anything about REO. Same with short sales. You want to buy short sales? There's a lot of short sales available right now. You can bring buyers in. Probate. You bring people in that just want to buy probate properties or become an expert in it. Just some ideas for buyer seminars if you go to a buyer farm. Because you can set up, you don't have to go directly to a apartment complex, but you can set up a buyer farm in your Facebook. You can set up a Facebook group to get people to join. REO specialist, Facebook. VA home buyer specialist. And you start dropping ads, creating your forms, etc. Seller farms, kind of went into that. Do you guys have any questions on where I go? What's the easiest? I'm trying to throw out the easiest ways to use seller farms. If you market around where you work, or if you're working out of your house, and you market around your house office, that's probably the easiest because you don't have to go far, right? You can go right to your house if you're working out of your house. If you're here, you can invite them into the office. So if you want your farm here and they want to see that, hey, well, I can just go straight to the office and drop the paperwork off and do all that.
The marketing much the title company does it first to even get a lot of information from them.
Here's the information. First one's MLS. All you do is click on the property. It'll tell you who owns the property. It'll give you their address, whether it's that address or if it's an investor that's got an address out of state. It'll tell you on your list what was your last mortgage refi, how much was it for. You guys get more information than Zillow people and than consumers because you pay $1,800 a year for that, right? $2,000 a year. Remind's another one. we had a Remind class, but lots of more. You guys get more information than the local consumer does. So find it. RPR is another one. I use that for commercial building. I think I showed you that on commercial building. Or what's the simplest? Walk around the corner, right? You can take your phone, the MLS Touch does the same thing, mobile, that you can do on your desktop. You just click the property, Mr. Garcia, Mr. Smith, yeah, work right here behind you. We're just looking for extra homes that want to sell right now, so let us know if you're interested. Let us know if there's a card. You can cost anything except for my feet. The amount of work. Zero cost. Does it work? I don't know. You guys are the salespeople. Sell it. And then finally on this whole thing, if you don't get started on it, then you don't have future business to work on your farm, right? If you don't get started calling your sphere of influence, then you don't have a sphere of influence. That's it. Any questions right now? Try to keep it as simple as possible. So, if you guys have any questions or you want to get started, you can pick up your phone and just call a title rep. Say, hey, I want this subdivision. You need to know how to market to it, and they'll market to it. Whether you do postcards, whether you do flyer letters, whether you start a buyer seminar page and schedule it for October. It's going to take you a month or so to get started. Okay.
One part is getting phone numbers if you want to call. Does anybody have a lady work for that phone number?
The title company do.
Somebody can, if you not call on that.
It'll say DNC. It'll say the phone number against it. Same with an email address. You can get emails and you can get phone numbers like that. And it's usually because title gets that information when they buy the property and switch to the property. So you just have to ask the title rep for that. If that's what you want to do, is sit around and do phone calls. So you can phone numbers all you want. Yeah, that was on the Remind, right? What's the selling probability of the property that's available? And I like targeting just things that are close. That way they know where to find you. You know, if you want to walk over there, and you can invite them over. And come over to the office. I got my lender in on Saturday from 9 to 11. If you're looking to buy, let's do it. And they're probably more apt to come to the office when it's a walk away versus, farming something in Green Valley or Lake Las Vegas, unless you live out there. But then you can probably get something through the HOA out there 2 weeks or 7 months. So it's possible to do it far away. But I just try to go with the simplest form as being in the office. All right, that's my SOI versus farms. SOI, you should take from this, SOIs are more important because they're going to refer the business left and right to take care of them. And 2, farms, if you're not doing it, you're not getting that extra 25-30% business. So I get started on something like that right away. And do it for as inexpensive as you can, but make sure it's in your schedule to do every appointment. So that you're in front of them, you're a professional with time and the tools. That's it. That's all you need. And you can go out there and make a lot of money. Go make money. All right, guys. Have a good week. You guys know where to find me if you need anything other than that. If there's any questions on the screen. Goodbye. Have a good week.